Hi, everyone. Welcome again to IV English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today we have our first of a double lesson for you, and the topic is something you certainly know a lot about, but perhaps you can learn something about it in English as well. We'll be looking at dragons today and tomorrow. We'll start with Dragons of the East and West.
我们这是2天的文章。那这篇文章它的中文标题是东西方龙大比拼。那这个英文标题里面 dragons 当然就是龙，那是西方的龙还有东方的龙。
Okay, I'll read through the paragraph. Famous symbols in both the East and the West, dragons are viewed quite differently in each of those regions. In the East, especially in countries like China, Japan, and Korea, dragons have long been admired and respected. In China, dragons symbolize power, strength, and good fortune. In fact, the emperor's seat translates as the dragon chair in English, reflecting the dragon's association with power. The Chinese word for dragon even remains a popular choice in many male names today due to its connection with prosperity and success. Children born in the year of the dragon are considered particularly fortunate. They are believed to possess wisdom and natural leadership qualities, making this zodiac year highly desirable. Across East Asia, dragon myths share certain common characteristics that emphasize the creature's kind and friendly nature. Moreover, dragons play a vital part in traditional celebrations. During the Dragon Boat Festival, for instance, people race in highly crafted dragon boats, representing the dragon's protective spirit against floods. During Chinese New Year, there are energetic dragon dances, with many performers controlling a long dragon figure. This is said to bring luck and financial success to those in the crowd watching. In addition to Chinese dragons, Japan and Korea have their own versions. In terms of appearance, Japanese dragons share some similarities with the Chinese ones. However, they are often shown as having bodies that are more like a snake and scales that are less vivid in color. Korean dragons, on the other hand, typically have shorter bodies and bigger heads. Their distinct appearances and roles in folklore and tradition highlight the significant cultural influence of dragons across these Eastern societies.
So, dragons. One of my favorite topics. I love dragons. I love that dragons most likely came from people finding dinosaur skeletons, in every country. I really think that that's where the original sort of myths came from. Mm-hmm. People trying to explain these gigantic snakes that they found in the wilderness, as it were. But over time, different cultures have developed different stories about them. So our article is going to compare the East and the West's different stories about these. Okay, so let's start. Famous symbols in both the East and the West, dragons are viewed quite differently in each of those regions. So a region is an area, it's like a cultural and physical area of the planet. And if you view something quite differently, it's not just a little bit different. There's a lot of difference. The quite is sort of an intensifier. So they're viewed quite differently. They're viewed a lot differently.
好，所以我们看到这个句子，一开始他说 famous symbols in both the East and the West， 这个其实是修饰主要子句的主词 dragons。那其实这个也是个分词片语简化来的，前面省略了一个 being。所以呢，这个龙呢是很有名的象征，在东方在西方都一样。然后呢他们怎么样 They are viewed， 他们被看待 quite differently， 相当不同的被看待，也就是说对他们的看法大家是大相径庭的。那这个 quite 在这里其实是 a lot 的意思啊，所以我们将中文说大相径庭，所以大家对龙的看法东方西方其实看法是大相径庭的，很不一样的。 然后呢，他讲 in each of those regions 是地区啊，那通常它是具有点文化的特色或者地理的特性这样的一个地方叫做地区，所以 the East 跟 the West 各自可以算成是一个地区，所以东方西方对于龙的看法是很不一样的。虽然说在两个地方东方西方这个龙都是很有名的象征。
In the East, especially in countries like China, Japan, and Korea, dragons have long been admired and respected. Well, you would know this in your own culture. The history of Chinese dragons in art goes back thousands of years, and almost as long also in Japan and Korea. They're so interesting, whether they are viewed fearfully or lovingly, admiringly, because they have such good qualities, or can have them. Power and strength are important to help us go through life. Good fortune simply means luck, good luck.
好，所以呢，在东方，尤其是在这些国家 ，especially in countries like， 例如什么样的国家呢？中国、日本，还有这个韩国，在这些地方呢 ，dragons have long been， 它已经长久以来一直被怎么样？被 admired， 被崇拜。admire 在这里是崇拜的意思，这个 to regard with wonder 或者 pleasure。那还有呢，他们也被 respected， 也被尊敬，所以这个 admired and respected 就是中文讲的崇敬，这个大家都对他们感到很崇敬。
Now, in China, dragons symbolize power, strength, and good fortune. Just like Bruce said, power is about strength. Strength is about
power.
about power. But power is more than strength. Strength is you're physically strong. Power means that you can make other people do things. So it's two kinds of strength. And then good fortune means luck.
Yeah, 好，所以在中国呢，龙，那各位注意到龙这个地方它是 dragons， 它是以普通名词的复数来代表这一类的东西，所以龙呢 symbolize 它象征什么？这是动词 symbolize， 它象征的是 power 权力， strength 是力量，还有呢 good fortune 就是好运。那 power 跟 strength 是有点不太一样， strength 通常是比较物理性的力量，那 power 它可能比较抽象的力量。
In fact, the emperor's seat translates as the dragon chair in English, reflecting the dragon's association with power. So giving you an example of why we said dragons symbolize power, strength, and good fortune. Even the word for the emperor reflects the Chinese society's appreciation and wonder at the power of dragons and their own emperor.
没错，所以呢，在 in fact 就是它进一步的说明，事实上呢，这个帝王的座椅，好 ，the emperor's seat， 那 translates as 就是翻译为什么呢？这个龙椅 the dragon chair in English， 所以这个龙椅，我想大家都知道这个概念，所以龙跟帝王也是有关的。
Now, the Chinese word for dragon even remains a popular choice in many male names today due to its connection with prosperity and success. So this word dragon, 龙, has a connection or a relationship or sort of an association with prosperity and success. Prosperity means getting money, doing well financially. And success means doing well professionally, being able to do the things you set out to do. Now, if something remains a popular choice, it means it originally was a popular choice, and now it still is. And a popular choice means a lot of people choose it. Popular means many people. That's the pop you in popular. Many people choose it.
好，所以呢，这一句是接上一句来的。上一句说这个直接翻译成为龙椅，那这个其实就 reflecting 上一句讲到 reflecting the dragon's association with power， 它反映的龙椅这个词呢，反映的是龙它的 association with 就是和什么什么的连结关联 connection with 跟 power 跟权力的这个连结，所以叫做龙椅，就是象征因为龙它有权力，所以接下来这句就讲说The Chinese word for dragon， 中文这个龙这个字呢，叫做 the Chinese word for dragon。事实上是它甚至于 remains a popular choice。remains 就表示它一直是，原来是，现在也还是。那 a popular choice 就是很多人喜欢的选择，所以它 remains a popular choice。很多人很喜欢这个选择，在哪里会喜欢这样的选择呢？在很多的男性的名字里面，很多男生的名字里面喜欢都起一个龙字。那为什么呢？ Due to 因为 it's connection 就是上一句的 association， 因为龙这个字跟什么有关呢？有什么关联呢？跟哪个字有关联呢？跟 prosperity， 跟繁荣或者昌盛叫做 prosperity， 同时跟 success 跟成功也有关联。
Children born in the year of the dragon are considered particularly fortunate. So if you have a child, as I do, who was born during the year of the dragon, and my mother.
Wow, you're surrounded by dragons. Dang.
He has natural leadership qualities. Well, he's only 12, or 11, so we'll see. But people say that this zodiac year is highly desirable.Some people plan and try to have a dragon child, but talk about hit or miss.
好，所以呢，这个在龙年出生的小孩 are considered， 他们被认为是 particularly 特别的 fortunate， 特别的幸运。那刚刚这个 Bruce 老师讲到下一句了，他说 they are believed to， 他们被认为被相信是 possess， 他们拥有 wisdom， 拥有智慧，还有呢有 natural 有天生的 leadership qualities， 就是领导的特质，所以他们有天生就有领袖的特质。那 making 使得这一个 zodiac year 这一个生肖年 zodiac 就是生肖，使得这个生肖年也就是龙年呢是 highly desirable， 是非常的大家都很想要， desirable 就是大家都很想要，每个人都很想要的。所以呢这个地方各位也要注意这个很简单但是很常见的一个句型，好 make 加一个受词就是 this zodiac year， 那再加一个受词补语 highly desirable， 所以 highly desirable 指的是 this zodiac year， 所以使得这一个生肖年是大家都变成大家都非常想要，因为他们被认为龙被认为他们是有，还有龙年生的小孩呢，他们被认为是有智慧而且有天生的 natural leadership qualities， 天生的领导特质。
Across East Asia, dragon myths share certain common characteristics that emphasize the creature's kind and friendly nature. So, of course, when we talk about East and West, there's a lot of cultures inside the East and also a lot of cultures inside the West. So now we're talking specifically about different regions within East Asia and their myths. And they do share some common characteristics. A characteristic is a quality of something. And if you have a common quality, it means that you both have that same sort of feature.And in this case, they emphasize the creature's kind and friendly nature. So a lot of East Asian dragons, or most, tend to be friendly and nice guys.
好，所以呢 across East Asia 就是在整个东亚地区 across 就从一边到另外一边，在这里就是指整个东亚地区的 across East Asia。那整个东亚地区呢 dragon myths 就是龙的神话都怎么样呢？这各位可以注意到这 myths 加了 s， 所以各种龙的神话，他们 share 就是共享，他们共同有这些什么呢 certain common characteristics， 他们共同有某些 common 共同的 characteristics 特色，所以 share some common characteristics 这也是英文常见的一个语块，就是表示他们有一些共同的特色。那这些特色怎么样呢？ that 就是指这个 common characteristics emphasize这些特色强调的是这个生物 the creature 是生物，在这里当然指的就是龙，所以他们强调都是龙的怎么样 kind 仁慈，还有呢 friendly 友善的 nature 本质或者本性。
Moreover, dragons play a vital part in traditional celebrations. So here's something else, here's something more. Moreover, dragons play a vital part in traditional celebrations. So when there is a celebration or a traditional holiday, you should expect to see a long line of people covered by material so that they look like a dragon with firecrackers exploding around the place. It doesn't matter if it's a wedding or the Dragon Boat Festival or the birth of a child. Anything that's worth celebrating is often accompanied by having a dragon.
好 moreover 此外呢龙 play a vital part in something 就是它扮演了一个非常重要的角色 vital 就是 extremely important 甚至于是 essential 的意思，所以龙扮演了一个非常重要的角色，在哪里呢？在哪里扮演重要角色呢？在 traditional 传统的 celebrations 庆祝活动或者庆典里面，龙都扮演了一个重要的角色。
During the Dragon Boat Festival, for instance, people race in highly crafted dragon boats. representing the dragon's protective spirit against floods. So when you talk about a dragon boat, in this article, they're called highly crafted. That means that they're not just a boat with a dragon stuck on it. The whole thing is very beautifully carved. Especially, I think Taipei's dragons are quite beautiful, but I'm biased because I have raced in Taipei's Dragon Boat Festival before.
Wow.
It was like, we lost, of course, in the first heat because how are we going to compete against that? A bunch of skinny students, but it was a good time anyways. But anyways, these highly crafted dragon boats represent the dragon's protective spirit against floods. So the dragon is there to help us prevent floods, which is why, June is a good time to have this ritual. To be like, hey, can we have like a calm year this year? Thank you.
Yeah. 好，所以呢，他说在这个 The Dragon Boat Festival 就是端午节，在端午节期间呢，人们 race 会比赛 race。怎么样？在哪里比赛呢？搭乘什么比赛呢？用一个 in 这个介词，那后面就告诉你，在 highly crafted dragon boats。highly crafted 就是 highly 这里你可以解释成为精心或者程度很高的 crafted 就是打造或者制作，精心打造精心制作的 dragon boats 这个龙舟里面，所以大家乘龙舟比赛叫做 race in highly crafted dragon boats， 乘着精心打造的龙舟比赛。然后呢，它 representing 它代表的是什么样？龙它的 protective spirit保护的精神。那 against 它保护的对象就是要对抗的是 floods， 是洪水。所以在这个时候端午节就是大家这个6月的时候，大家祈求夏天不要有洪水，所以龙舟也有这种用处。
One of my favorite things about Dragon Boat Festival is when they bring the boats out to start the practices so that everyone can practice for it's like for 3 months or something on the river before the festival happens. Some people are practicing since January, but we only did on the official practice season. So they bring the boats out from storage and they put them by the riverside and they have a little ritual where they paint the pupils of the eyes in red ink.
Yeah.
And that's so that the spirits come alive. And so then they're present with us when we're boating. And then at the end, they have another ritual where they carefully wipe the eyes clean so that the boats go to sleep before they go back into storage. I love everything about that.
That is great.
因为这个 Angela 他去划过龙舟他说这个龙舟每年要出龙舟要下水要出来比赛的时候呢，他们会有一个仪式就是点睛画龙点睛那感觉起来这龙就活过来了。那等到整个比赛都结束之后呢，他们也会有一个仪式，很小心的，他们会把那个画上去的那个眼睛把它抹掉这样的话这个龙舟代表这个龙就去睡觉了这很有趣的一个习俗。
And then it's 画龙点睛. I
I
finally learned there's a 成语 for that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. During Chinese New Year, there are energetic dragon dances with many performers controlling a long dragon figure. More news about the Chinese New Year and dragons. An energetic dragon dance is probably what you might expect because dragons have so much power. If you are energetic, you show your power. You don't seem ever to get tired. And if you see a dragon dance, you realize there may be a dozen or more people who are covered with material so that they look perhaps like a part of the backbone of the animal. And at the front, there will usually be a very large carved head, maybe in a different color, controlled by 1 or 2 guys usually. And it's a lot of fun to watch them. I think I'd be exhausted trying to do that in the June heat.
Well, it's usually at an evening, isn't it?
No.
Oh, really?
No. The ones I've seen are all in the day.
Oh, right. Okay.
好，所以呢，农历新年的时候呢，会有怎么样 energetic 充满活力的 dragon dances， 就是舞龙。那 with 就它的附随状况怎么样？是 many performers 很多的这个表演者 controlling， 那 with 后面加名词再加一个分词，表示这些名词在做什么，所以名词在这里就这些 performers， 这些表演者他们在干嘛呢？ controlling 加个 ing， 他们控制了一个很长的 dragon figure， 一个龙的形体，还有刚刚这个 Bruce 老师也形容这个舞龙那个感觉，大家可以再把 Bruce 老师的形容再听一遍。
So this is said to bring luck and financial success to those in the crowd watching. So if you watch this dragon dance, you will also be lucky and successful.
This is said to 就是据说这可以怎么样 bring 带来 luck 幸运 还有 financial success 就是这个财务上的成功，带给谁呢？带给 those in the crowd watching. Those in the crowd 就是 those people who are in the crowd 就是在群众中的那些人。那这些人在干嘛呢？ Watching 他们在旁观着。换句话说就是你看舞龙舞狮呢，尤其舞龙，你在旁边看的人可以得到，因为这个舞龙可以带给你幸运，带给你财务上的成功 luck and financial success.
Okay, our last paragraph for today. In addition to Chinese dragons, Japan and Korea have their own versions, and we mentioned that the dragons are a very powerful symbol throughout East Asia.
好，所以除了中国的龙之外呢，日本跟韩国还有他们也有他们自己的版本 versions， 就他们也有他们自己龙的版本。
In terms of appearance, though, Japanese dragons share some similarities with the Chinese ones. So Japanese dragons do seem similar to the Chinese ones.
In terms of appearance, 就是就外表而言呢，日本的龙 share some similarities with 就是和什么什么有一些类似之处，所以日本的龙和中国的龙呢有一些类似之处，就外表而言。
So let's find out how they're different. However, they, the Japanese dragons, are often shown as having bodies that are more like a snake and scales that are less vivid in color, which would be a description of most actual snakes. Although there are many brightly colored snakes, most of them are not because they have to blend in with their environment.
It's just the poisonous ones that are bright.
所以呢，但是呢，他们 are shown as 他们被显示是什么样的状况呢？ Having 他们有 bodies 身体 that are more like a snake 看起来是比较像蛇的身体，所以日本的龙看起来比较像蛇。还有 scales that are less vivid in color。还有呢，那个鳞片，这鳞片是什么样？在颜色方面 in color 方面呢是 less vivid 比较没有那么鲜艳。
Korean dragons, on the other hand, typically have shorter bodies and bigger heads, so they're culturally different than Japanese dragons.
好，所以韩国的龙呢 on the other hand 另一方面韩国的龙呢 typically 就典型一般是怎么样呢 have shorter bodies 身体比较短，然后呢 bigger heads 头比较大。
Their distinct appearances and roles in folklore and tradition highlight the significant cultural influence of dragons across these Eastern societies. So no matter what they look like, they're still dragons, and dragons are displayed in many public arenas for people to enjoy, the boat races or the long march of the dragons with firecrackers galore. Everybody here is well familiar with the role of dragons in Chinese culture.
好，所以这里要 their distinct appearances. Distinct 就是很独特很好认的，它也可以表示彼此不同的。那在这里应该是他们很好认的。好，这个日本龙韩国龙他们的外表还有他们一些很独特的角色 roles 在哪里的角色呢？在 folklore 民俗还有 tradition 传统方面的这些不同的角色呢，还有他们的不同的外表。Highlight 就是凸显了这个 the significant cultural influence 就是很显著的文化影响 of dragons 就是龙很显著的文化影响 across these Eastern societies 在这些东方社会他们龙那些所带来一些显著的文化影响，所以可以在这里被凸显出来。
Okay, that's it for day 1 of our dragon article. Tomorrow we just continue with a lot more, just as fascinating as it was today. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.